Alexei Navalny has organized a wave of demonstrations in nearly 80 Russian cities, but the anti-corruption campaigner will not attend any of them. He's spending 20 days in jail for organizing an unsanctioned protest last week. Here's freelance reporter Charles Maines with how it's all unfolding. What is Navalny calling on people to do, Charles?
Well, Alexei Navalny has been on this quixotic campaign around the country to register himself as a candidate for the presidency. In March of 2018, Russia will have presidential elections. It's assumed Vladimir Putin will run, although he has not declared his candidacy yet. But authorities say that Navalny can't run because he's been convicted on what Navalny says are trumped-up charges. Today's rally is essentially Alexei Navalny calling for competitive races for this presidential race. He says that he wants to participate in the race. He's calling on his supporters to come out and demand that. He says for those who don't support him to also come out and say, look, we want other candidates in this race against Vladimir Putin. So that's the issue here today.
And so now, Charles, what's happened so far? Has there been any trouble?
Well, as you noticed, there's been calls for rallies in 80 cities across the country. These are cities where Alexei Navalny has tried to open campaign offices. He's held rallies that have brought hundreds, if not occasionally thousands of people out onto the streets. And what we've seen so far, essentially Navalny surrogates being picked up by police in several cities across Russia. Some of the rallies in the Far East seemed a bit smaller than perhaps the crowds he drew when he was out there recently. But the big show, of course, is in Moscow. Also, we're looking to St. Petersburg, where there's a central park there that's been blocked off by police. Certainly, we've seen a heavy police presence down by the Kremlin here. And we do expect that if people do show up, it's an unsanctioned meeting, what they call an unsanctioned rally here in Russia, which means it's illegal. And police are promising arrests.